Alright, hey everyone. So we are going to do some After Effects today, and I've got a project all set up for some particle generation. And what we're going to do is use the particle system inside of After Effects to create some like little floating pieces of dust on a still photo. So that's the idea today. And I've got After Effects up, so let's get started. So I'm going to create a new comp. Just click on New Composition here. And let's go to... 1024 by 768, right? It's funny, I was talking about 1024 by 768 when it comes to interface design yesterday with my students. That's not what we want. We want 1280 by 720. So that's going to be a base HD kind of thing. And let's go with 30 frames per second. Keep it nice and clean. Maybe about 20 seconds. There we go. New comp. All right. So hey everybody, let me know how you're doing today. I'm doing pretty good. We had our first week of classes at the university yesterday, or last week rather. And yesterday I started the second week, which my Mondays are loaded. So I've got pretty much all my classes on Mondays, which I don't have any classes on Tuesdays, which is pretty good. So I can do stuff like this. Although, as you may have noticed, let's just switch back here. I am moving this stream to Thursdays at 4 p.m. Pacific. So next week, Thursday, 4 p.m. And that's the way it's going to be for the foreseeable future. This seems to be a really crowded time in terms of streams on Behance. So, also it kind of is in the middle of my day. So it's 12 o'clock here, noon. So I am going to move it to the evening time. I like the evening better anyway. All right, so let's see here. We have our new comp. And I've already grabbed a free asset from Adobe Stock. If you're not aware, Adobe Stock does have a collection of free assets you can use. I'm going to just drag that down into my comp timeline here. And it shows up as a new layer. Now, immediately it's like way too big. But of course we can make adjustments to that. So if I go and twirl down my transform, here's our scale. Oops. There we go. And that's actually all I want to do with my photograph here of the wine bottles. So what I do when I'm finished with something is I lock it down. So we enabled the lock here. That's going to ensure that I don't do anything weird that's going to interfere with what we're doing inside of After Effects. All right, and you know, I can expand this a bit more because we're not going to have a lot of layers for this. This is not a layer-heavy composition. The next thing we're going to have to do is create a solid to apply our particle generator to. So I'm going to go and, oops, right-click and create a new solid right here. Dark gray solid. It doesn't really matter what color we make it. So I'm going to just keep it like that. And I want it to be 1280 by 720 because that's exactly the size of our comp window here. So I'm going to hit OK. There is our dark gray solid. Now this is what we want to actually apply the particle generator to. So to do that, I'm going to go to my Effect menu. And let's find, let's see here. It's not inside of Generate. I can always do a search too.
What are you doing?
Let's actually do that. Let's go into our effects and presets. Just do a search for particle. And we've got a couple of particle generators in After Effects. We have Particle Systems 2, Particle World, and Particle Playground. I think I'm going to use Particle Systems 2 for this. It's got a couple of unique things. And I'm just going to drag that right from my Effects and Presets panel directly onto that dark gray solid. And there we go. You notice the dark gray solid disappears, and we get our effect controls up here where we have a number of things to twirl down that we can set up. And this is going to be the core of what we're doing today. Another thing I might do, I might go back in and make this look a little more dusty. But let's get some particles going on first so we can see how that all works together. All right. So I'm going to take the birth rate down a bit. And if we preview this, you can see that does not look anything like what we want it to look like. It's just like a sparkler, right? So when I was growing up in Massachusetts, the only type of fireworks we had access to really were sparklers. They were just like the long, thin sticks. You light them on fire and sparks come out the end all over the place. And that's what this looks like by default. I don't want it to look like that. So what I need to do is go through and tweak some of this stuff. So let's take the birth rate down quite a bit. Let's check out. Yeah, so that's down to 0.2. Longevity. Let's let them live a little bit longer here. Let's pull that all the way up to 4. Nice. And the animation right now, let's just jump over the producer here, go to animation. It's set to explosive right now. So that's why we're getting it sort of like going out from all directions. Let's choose twirl or twirly. So twirled is sort of like a vortex. You can see that. And if we go to twirly, it looks like that. So I'm gonna keep it at twirly. It's more random than twirl. And let's see. Let's turn this velocity down. So you can imagine how these effects are useful for things like, you know, you could generate a waterfall or something like that, a stream, stuff like moving. Let's take our radius X and radius Y and actually pull those up quite a bit. We want to cover the entire thing here. Let's take them all up to around 100. So this is looking pretty good. If you're live in the chat, let me know how your day is going. Yeah, let's see here. Gravity is at 1. Let's actually take that down to 0. At 0 gravity, look at that. Things just kind of float. So you've got this floating twirly thing. So if we're looking at dust, and I've got these pictures of wine bottles, right? So we're in a dusty old cellar. We're almost adding a bit of motion and animation to a still image here. Particle type. This is important. So let's change this. I could do a shaded sphere, a faded sphere, shaded and faded sphere, bubbles, cubes, and so forth. I have found for dust, shaded sphere works pretty good. Very nice. Now these aren't going to really change size, so I'm going to pull my death size down to 15 to match my birth size here. Yeah, So now they just kind of fade out. But I want them to fade in and out. So when they're generated, I want them to fade in. And when they go away, I want them to fade out. Pretty cool. You can change the color as well. Let's take the opacity down to something like 27, 25, 30. You can see with each little tweak that we make, it looks more and more like dust particles. Death color. So we could choose from the color picker here, choose a death color, or we could use the eyedropper. I'm gonna actually sample from this cork right here. And with birth color, let's choose a lighter color from the wood, so you can see those. Pretty good. Let's make origin constant. That makes it a little too... Yeah, birth to origin looks better. It looks more like dust. Let's keep that. Let's see. We got death size, birth size. There's lots of things we could change here. Keep an eye on the chat. So if you're new to my streams, I stream a lot with Adobe Animate. I stream with After Effects, obviously, here, and so forth. This is actually looking pretty good. Let's pull this up a little bit. All right, I'm gonna say let's leave this be kind of as it is right now, right? It looks pretty good, but what we're going to do is actually go through and let's modify the look of this actual image in the background. Oops, get back over there. All right, the image in the background here, and this is always going to depend on, you know, what you're trying to do exactly, the different things that you use. Let's go to 50%. Yeah, 50 is not very good. All right, let's go ahead and make some adjustments to this image. So I'm gonna unlock and select my image here. Gosh, Behance has really improved their latency. It used to be like, you know, a good probably like 10-second lag on my streams. I know they went to a new streaming service recently. The last few weeks when I've done this, it's been immediate. It's wonderful. So let's go ahead and go into my effects and presets, clear that out. And do we have any sort of vignetting? Well, look at that. CC vignette. Drag that on there. Oops. So I dragged it onto my dark gray solid, which I did not want to do. Let's go ahead and drag it instead in the layers panel here, in the comp, to my actual image. There we go. Yeah, that's darkened it up quite a bit. Saturation. Pop that in there as well. take that saturation down a bit. So I'm wondering if I might be able to do something with some generated light as well. Let's go ahead and, yeah, just play with this master hue a little bit to kind of give it, we don't want it blue or green, just a little more kind of woody look to it. Cool. So again, if you're in the chat, chat, right? Say hi. Let me know what you're up to. I'm just going to be refining this as we go through. You know, probably for the next like 10, 15 minutes or so. Let's see here. So I've enabled my my 3D on both of these layers to make them 3D layers. And of course I've got my little gizmos showing up now. One of the coolest things to happen in After Effects for a while, an overhaul of the 3D system. But this will allow me to put some lighting in here too. So let's create a new light. Parallel, perhaps. Yeah, that's pretty good. So we can make adjustments to the light in 3D space as well, in terms of its position and so forth. Now, lighting only works on 3D layers. So if you don't have 3D layers going on, you're not going to get your lighting. That's something really important to note there. And we can change our light options. So one of the options here is color. I actually want to change my color a little bit. It's white by default. I want to color this sort of like a rich, kind of orange light. That's maybe a little too much. And that's even too much. That's better. Yes, this is what I'm looking for. I mean, another thing we could do, we could add some grain to this. Change the radius a little on this guy. Fall off and distance. Let's revisit our dark gray solid. That's where our actual particle effects are. Now that we've modified this background quite a bit, we can start playing with some other things. See, I think that's just too subtle. Origin to death. Birth to death is probably pretty similar. It's a little bit better, actually. Pretty good. Maybe I'll keep it at that. And let's look for some other effects. So let's look for some grain. Add grain. We want to put this on our actual background image here. It just looks a little too clean as it is. There we go. Now, whenever I use grain in After Effects like this, it always tends to slow things down quite a bit. So let's take the rendering down to like half or quarter, something of that nature. Yeah, you can see how slow this is now. And if I toggle that off, then you get the fast real-time effects here. I haven't much played with the draft 3D option yet. No, that's not doing much for us at all, is it? Cool. Another thing, let's go in and kind of change this a little bit. Birth rate's good, longevity's good. The radius X and Y are just fine. So velocity, we could take this up or down. If I turn it up quite a bit, what happens is you get more of a kind of eye floaters kind of thing going on, right? You can see them all flipping around there. And of course I take them down to what we had, then they're much, much slower. So this is like how fast these little particles move, right? We got gravity, resistance, direction. Here we go. We can take birth size up a little bit maybe. So you don't want it too big if you're dealing with dust, right? I don't know, it's looking pretty good. Just playing with transfer modes here. They all look mostly the same. Let's go ahead and add some text to this. And I've got a story, which I just thought of now. So I'm going to use my type tool up here, horizontal type tool. Dusty wine. Helvetica? Helvetica, no. Let's find something that has a little more character to it. And I know I've got some typefaces in here from Adobe Fonts that have quite a bit of character. Strenuous. Let's go back to auto. Let's see what we've got. Cezanne Pro. Dirty wine. Or dusty wine, not dirty wine. Here we go. I've got another one like Blackbeard or something like that. There it is. Yeah, let's use that one. Pull that up quite a bit. Sample from there. And there we are. Oops, don't want to add an additional one. Let's drag Dusty Wine down below our light. Make it 3D. That way, it's actually affected by the light, which is pretty cool. So, Dusty Wine. So I mentioned I had a story. So I'm going to have this guy swing in. I'll keyframe that orientation for the text. That's pretty nice. It's slow though. So let's shift that keyframe over. Let's put some easy ease in here. There we go. Dusty Wine comes in. And then at some point we can have it kind of go out. Let's check our effects and presets. And check our animation presets for text. And I bet we can animate this out. And we can just kind of try this and see what works. I don't want it to go like that. Come on. No. I wish it would be a bit more random, you know? Yeah, no. This ain't what I'm looking for at all. Let's see, 3D text maybe. Oh, yeah, let's try one of these. Oh, yeah. But I don't want it to happen on the whole thing. This is the problem with a lot of these presets, right? The animation presets inside of After Effects. Is they're often not exactly what you want. Alright, well here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna remove that. It's gonna swing in. It's gonna hold. Then I'm gonna have it swing back out. Let's preview the whole thing here. See how it looks. It's like I'm never going to be happy with this thing. That's kind of how these things work, right? So what do we have? We got our orientation. Let's see if we can't make this a little more variable. Oh yeah. That's nice. I like that. Just kind of hovers right there. Sweet. Let's turn our graph editor off. So not only will we hover there, but I'll also go ahead and let's make some changes to opacity. Just make it a little smoother. So I'll toggle that watch on. Then right before it kind of goes away, take it down to 0. Nice. You know what? This only really needs to be a certain length. Let's pull this down a bit. And now the little particles are already started, whereas before we didn't have them going until some time. And then we'll just cut it off at 10 seconds. Composition, settings. change that from 20 seconds to 10 seconds. That's pretty good. You know, the last thing I think I'll do with this text, just put some easy ease on these particular keyframes as well for the opacity. Actually, let's see what we got here. It's pretty quick. There we go. That's pretty good. Okay. Cool. All right, I think this is ready to go. I think we're done. But what I'm going to do is now export this, render it out. So, composition. Add to render queue. We're going to use best settings, lossless. Output to comp folder and name. Let's render that out. Shouldn't take long. Goodness. That was loud. Hey, After Effects. All right. So we'll use that. I will upload this. And it'll be all set, right? But anyway, that's about it for the stream today. We've got some good stuff going on in our comp. We've got some nice subtle particle effects and so forth. We've got some cool stuff with text and 3D layers and lighting and saturation and so forth. So yeah, just adding a bit of motion through subtle particle effects to a still image. There we go. Again, I am switching to Thursdays at 4 p.m. Pacific. That's 7 p.m. Eastern. So, next week, that will be a completely different time. But until then, I'll see you all later. And hope you all have a good week. So thank you.